You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. That's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the Lightbath Zone.
Welcome to the Lightbath Zone. Today we're exploring my piece, Holding a Feather. I won't actually be holding a feather while we explore the piece, that's just the name of it. First, we'll look at how each voice is built. Then, I will improvise with the piece and talk you through my thought process. If you're unfamiliar with the basic concepts of synthesis or the names and functions of certain Eurorack modules, just hang in there. I'll be making some foundational videos in the near future. Look at all of this gloriousness. Look at all the colors and the wires. They're cables, but I like to say wires. So the voices in this patch are STOs. Pitch and trigger CV are coming from the mono running Kriya on Ansible. That's being split into two voices by Shifty and passing through Beast Chalkboard for octave control before heading to the two STOs. Hear how it got lower. The variable waveform outs of the STOs are going into the two channels of Optimix, which are being summed out, and going into Belgrade. Belgrade usually would then just go into Rainmaker, but I have it going to Praga first, to one channel of Praga, and then I have some complex modulation happening with these Chaos Devices modules over here to pan it around. Rainmaker is running 4 taps, 2, 4, 6, and 12. Those are panned left, right, left, right. Those taps have bandpass filters on them, and there's modulation to get a little bit of that woozy warble sort of thing. So then I'm also sending white noise from Chance to Belgrade to adjust the filter cutoff, and this is what it does. So I have 2 channels of the Moleco voltage block controlling the shape parameter of each of the STOs. So then I have planar, as you can see, adjusting frequency on the x-axis and span on the y-axis. And so really with just these 3 parameters, these 2 hands, that's how I'm getting all those different shapes. I can just draw. And then, switch the octaves. All the changes take a little bit of time to be heard because the mix on Rainmaker is up pretty high. So we're hearing a lot more of the delays than we are the dry signal. Granted, I also had the feedback way down, so get ready. Here's more feedback. So let's talk about the panning that is going on in Praga. I'm using 2 channels of Batumi. It's in div mode. One of them is the smooth random, and another is the sine. And those are being mixed in 2 channels of Samara. And coming out of that, and I actually have some offset and attenuation happening in shades here, just so I have easy knob control over it and don't have to reach in here. And then that's going to the pan input of Praga. And that's just moving it around in the stereo field. So now the second voice. Rings. This is probably my favorite part of the patch. It starts with my usual rings voice, which is rings into T-Rex, into sisters, into clouds. In this case, I'm actually using the new, I just got this, the 8HP micro clouds. I love clouds. I love everything that Mutable Instruments makes. I think Olivier is brilliant. But I also love fitting lots of functionality into my case, and Clouds is 18 HP and Micro Clouds is 8 HP. Plus, Clouds is now, I think Clouds is discontinued. Is Clouds discontinued? So yeah, that's my Rings voice. I've pretty much been doing that since the day I got T-Rex. All right devices. Tyler Coy. Hit him up. Did you hear that? That sounded like... But in this patch, I have Kaminiets by Chaos Devices. It's their phaser in between Sisters and Microclouds. And so that's giving some nice swirlies. I'm just using it pretty much like a phaser in this instance. But if you want to hear what this thing can do with the resonance that can sound nothing like a phaser, it sounds amazing. Listen to All Creatures Festival that I released last December. Available on Bandcamp. So back to this patch. I'm using the string mode on Rings, and I'm modulating it with Tirana, Chaos Devices, and Dresno, another Chaos Devices module, and also modulating it and Clouds with the center channels of the voltage block. We'll get into these details later, but basically that's the secret to this patch. Rings with all of that modulation. Actually, that's secret number 1. Secret number 2 is that I swapped out Rings trigger. Normally it would be coming from Ansible. I swapped it out with the rhythm output of Chance. And then Chance is being modulated by the voltage block. And now, the third voice, Plonk. So Plonk is doing this cello sort of thing. We had this thing on the internet, like where Austin Cairns are beny. I always want to say Cairns because that's how it looks to me. But when I met him, I was like, dude, how do you pronounce your name? And he was like, Cairns. How else would you pronounce it? And I was like, I thought everybody says Cairns. So we were talking about Plonk for sustained sounds. I had said something about how great the sustained sounds from Plonk sound on his new album, Cascade Symmetry, which, by the way, if you haven't already, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you know who our Beny is, and you probably already subscribe to him, all of his Instagram and his YouTubes, and you probably own both of his cassettes and have downloaded everything. Both of his albums are amazing. Everything that he makes is amazing. Then Austin posted some examples of some sustained Plonk sounds on his Instagram, and I'm like, all right, I gotta get in on the fun here. So this piece is my response. So yeah, it's kind of like a cello. You can hear all the reverb it's pretty wet, and that reverb is from Space Designer in Logic, which actually is inspired by Emily Sprague's recent teaser from her new album, Water Memory 1. That track is so gorgeous, and it's like an orchestra. I mean, again, if you don't know Emily Sprague's music, go to her Bandcamp. It's chamber music in these very natural sounding reverbs that are just like spaces, and the tones she is getting just sound so real, but they're obviously from a synthesizer. And so I was like, okay, let me see if I can make a cello sound or whatever. You know, I mean, this isn't near the level of detail that she's got going on that recording, but again, this is my answer to that. But I digress. Plonk. I'm using no mallet, just the noise exciter with a long attack and decay, the string object, filtering it down to remove most of the highs. I'm then running it through the Magic, Talon by Chaos Devices. It's a VCA, you could say. I mean, technically it's a VCA, but oh man, it's way more than that. It produces the nicest distortion. I love it. And it's only 6 HP. And one thing I like doing, which I'm doing in this case, is running one channel into the next. In this case, I'm actually just using the second channel to attenuate the first so that it's not too loud. But if you use an attenuator for that, you can actually run both channels on distortion and it gets pretty intense. I'll make another video later of those kind of sounds, but for now it's a little more subdued. And now, the fourth voice, ER301, sine bass. It's receiving pitch CV from Ornament and Crime's Quantermain. There's a slow gate coming from Pamela's new workout, and that's being applied to the first VCA in there. There's a second VCA in there that has a slow sine on it so that we get a few notes and then we get silence for a while, which is why we're not hearing a lot. And here we go. And some really low rumble comes in there. And so it just makes sure that we get only a few notes. I think only about 3 can happen before the sine dips back down, and then we get the same amount of time of silence, and then 3 more notes later. And it's that kind of thing. Modulation. Tirana has a 4-step sequence. I don't have any ratcheting or anything going on in that. It's just 4 steps. But the trigger is coming from the 4th channel of Kriya, and I have a rhythm. And the CV outs of Tirana are adjusting the structure of rings. And for those of you familiar with rings, when you use the string model, the structure knob gives all these really great dyads of 4ths and 5ths and octaves. And so it creates all these little unexpected harmonies that at times, if you listen, there's this one spot where it goes out of key. It goes into this like Lydian sort of thing, I think, like this sharp 4th type of thing, which is interesting because the piece actually has a lot of natural 4ths in it. And that sort of clashes with this little Lydian thing, but this is a generative piece, and what I hope is that the magic happens so that when the cycles come together, that I'm not clashing with it at the moment, or that if I am, it actually feels good and sounds good, you know? That's kind of the approach with a lot of this generative stuff. It's like hit or miss. Like, you have to be in that groove where all the cycles are lining up. Like, it's like the planets are in alignment. I have this feeling that's not based on any evidence, that it's all in response to my internal state, my mental state, how deep in zone or meditation I am when I'm making it. And so I just go as deep as I can and become as present as I can, and I just react. And that's kind of how I play these things, with the trust that as long as I'm present, something good will come out. So that's Tirana. Then we have Dresno and Lipsk. What's going on is pretty simple. I have some CV coming from the Flame C3 knob recorder, and I just twisted the knob and made a shape. I'm running it into Dresno and back out of Dresno, and it's modulating rings position. I then have some triggers that I'm sending from various places into Lipsk, and that's flipping certain bits. So that's changing the waveform around on yet another level. So yeah, I'm just like, where do I have some gates and triggers that I can send? Okay, here's one in Tirana, great. Where are some other ones? Oh, Batumi has a couple squares, why don't I just send it those? And so that's it, and I just have those 3, and they're plugged in there, and it's just creating more cycles, more layers of cycles to overlap and change over time. So that's the overview for this patch. Let's hear it all together. And there are the STOs. I'll bring in the rings voice. I'll keep it short. Just for some subtle little things. And then the idea is to just listen. Don't try to act. Don't try to do. Just wait. And maybe something just compels you. I'm going to lower the octave of the second voice. Hear those lower notes? I'm going to start moving with shift on some of these around. So now we have some lower tones, and that's a perfect time to start bringing in the cello. No wonder it was so short. I had the delay feedback down on Rainmaker. This is when the magic happens. Turn that feedback up. See that cello starts to build. And then you just sit back, like there's not a lot to do. But you know, I'll move these little parameters around because it'll just create a little bit of movement. And it's just fun to just wiggle. eventually I want that bass. So I bring it in, but it might not be in the part of the cycle where I'm about to hear it. So I know about how far on the knob to take it, and there we go. And by now I might desire a little bit more rings, so I'll increase the damping. Decrease the filter a little. Okay, nice. Those low tones came in. I'm gonna go lower with the second STO, and now lower with the first STO. There, that's that Lydian thing I was talking about. Let's now reverse it all. Oh wait, no. Let's give it some more of the noise modulation, the white noise modulation on Belgrade. And now let's start subtracting. So let's shorten rings. Remove the cellos, which were pretty quiet this time. I didn't really give it a lot of cello. And then remove the bass. And then bring the second STO voice up, first up in pitch. Let's reduce the noise, and go up in pitch again, and up again with the first one. So now the bottom voice still has one more octave up that it can go if I want to take it further. And now I'm just playing with the frequencies again, filtering. And the wave shape. I feel like it's too much noise, so I'll just back that off. I'll go up an octave on the last voice, second voice. And I'll cut it out and just let Rainmaker finish it out. Cut on rings. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the full video for Holding a Feather here on my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, hit the button and ring the bell. If you like this video and you want to see more, or if you just like what I do and you want to give me a big high five, head over to Patreon and throw me a couple dollars for support. Patreon is a platform that enables creatives to accept monthly donations. In my case, donations can get you bonus content, patch notes, monthly hangouts, and one-on-one lessons. Most importantly, donations support me as an artist and allow me to keep making videos. So thank you for your support, be it a donation, a Bandcamp purchase, an Instagram follow, a like, a kind comment, even a photo of your cat. I truly appreciate it. So this is Lightbath, signing off. Have fun. Stay well.